The clock is ticking on Joe Biden's running mate announcement. The presumptive Democratic nominee is expected to make a decision any day, just ahead of next week's Democratic convention. Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer is on his short list. CBS News has learned she traveled to Delaware last weekend for an in-person meeting with Biden. This all comes as the latest CBS News battleground tracker finds Biden leading President Trump by 6 points in Wisconsin and Pennsylvania. Both states were key victories for Mr. Trump in 2016. CBS News campaign reporters Nicole Sganga and Erickson are on the ground with the latest on the 2020 race. Welcome. Great to see you both. Let me start with you. Joe Biden's meeting with Governor Whitmer appears to be his first since the Veep stakes began. What do we know about this meeting, and what's the latest on other potential running mates?
Hi, Elaine. Well, 85 days to go until that November election. But as you said, just any day now, we are going to expect it to get that announcement from Joe Biden on who his running mate will be. As you said, we learned just a couple of days ago that last weekend he flew in the governor of Michigan, Gretchen Whitmer, into the small airport about 45 minutes away from his beach house in Rehoboth Beach, Maryland. She wasn't on the ground long, and we're just trying to still figure out what exactly they were talking about, but more to come on that. Also this weekend, we found out that several of the top contenders and some of the names that have been really pushed by outside Democrats to the campaign, they were basically put on standby for the past couple of days, saying that they could interview with Joe Biden any time, either in person or virtually over Zoom. We're expecting his decision just in a couple of days, and I know everyone's excited, just as I am, as I've been following him since last April.
Yes, I imagine probably there are a few people more excited than you, Erickson, for this announcement. All right, so there was another public push today by a few celebrities calling for a black woman to be chosen by Biden for his VP. What did they say?
So this was a really strongly worded statement by about 100 black male leaders throughout the country. It was Diddy, Charlemagne the God, NBA player Chris Paul, Reverend Barber, and they were saying that it disgusts them that some of the black women who are under consideration are going through so much extra scrutiny throughout the process than some of the white women in the process, most notably like Governor Gretchen Whitmer or Senator Warren. And so they were saying that it is needed to be explicit from Joe Biden that he needs to pick a black woman as his running mate, and just not as an option, but he actually needs to go through with that commitment as well.
All right, let's turn to the Trump campaign. Nicole, the latest CBS News battleground tracker, finds views on the pandemic are more strong. Traveled to Delaware last weekend for an in-person meeting with Biden. This all comes as the latest CBS News battleground tracker finds Biden leading President Trump by 6 points in Wisconsin and Pennsylvania. Both states were key victories for Mr. Trump in 2016. CBS News campaign reporters Nicole Sganga and Erickson are on the ground with the latest on the 2020 race. Welcome. Great to see you both. Let me start with you. Joe Biden's meeting with Governor Whitmer appears to be his first since the Veep stakes began. What do we know about this meeting, and what's the latest on other potential running mates?
Hi, Elaine. Well, 85 days to go until that November election. But as you said, just any day now, we are going to expect it to get that announcement from Joe Biden on who his running mate will be. As you said, we learned just a couple of days ago that last weekend he flew in the governor of Michigan, Gretchen Whitmer, into the small airport.
That there have only been 9 cases of voter fraud since 2016 found in the state of Pennsylvania. None of those ended up in criminal convictions. But folks on the ground who I spoke with here did raise some concerns about absentee voting and mail-in voting, including a former U.S. postal worker that I spoke with and an election official who I met here at the event, who said they were wary of so many absentee ballots and how those were going to be counted. Here in Montgomery County, where I'm standing today, they actually announced a plan today to set up satellite election poll stations where folks can show up in person to vote early ahead of that election. There will be 5 here in Montgomery County. So election officials trying to address that concern. But again, we consistently hear the Trump campaign parroting what this president has said, inciting fear around early and mail-in voting ahead of this election, Elaine.
Interesting. All right, back on the pandemic, Bo, what are you hearing from voters about how a Biden administration might handle the pandemic?
Well, since Joe Biden got in the race last April, he's trying to make leadership the crux issue between him and President Trump. And so he's using this pandemic now to kind of as the greatest example, saying, I am not going to do what he is doing. And he's saying that President Trump is not doing enough to handle this pandemic right now. I spent the last few days in Joe Biden's beach town of Rehoboth, and obviously we're talking to a lot of people with masks on, a lot of people not with masks on. It's still evenly split, but this weekend, as our CBS News polling was in Pennsylvania and Wisconsin, voters there, 3 out of 4 people who are saying that the coronavirus is a big issue to them are going towards Joe Biden. So he's going to continue to embrace masks and continue to question how President Trump is handling, especially the potential vaccine rollout as well.
And Nicole, you asked the president's daughter-in-law about the CBS News poll showing likely voters in those states trusting Joe Biden more to handle the pandemic. Here's what she had to say. Let's listen to that.
Some of the president's biggest critics, the governors of New York and California, both said, look, the president and the federal government did an incredible job, and really we have to thank them for what they did for our states. And not only was the president and the administration looking out for the health of the American people, but also the economic health of the American people.
Nicole, what else did Lara Trump tell you? And are there any signs that the campaign has been taking this pandemic more seriously?
Well, you heard Lara Trump there reference earlier comments made by Democratic governors like Andrew Cuomo, governor of New York, like Governor Gavin Newsom from California, who early on in the pandemic response did praise the administration, and some of their comments have shifted since. We did see here at the event today, Elaine, an acknowledgement that, yes, the coronavirus is here. A senior advisor to the campaign, Katrina Pearson, says, yes, we're going on this bus tour, but we will be wearing masks on the tour. And for the first time, I've been to a few Trump campaign events now in New Hampshire, in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We actually heard an official get on stage before the event and remind people that masks were required at the event, that they are required in public spaces where social distancing is not, you're not able to social distance in the state of Pennsylvania. And so there were boos and groans and mumblings from the audience, but people then did, for the most part, pull on their masks. And so, today's event, lots of hand sanitizer, social distancing in the audience, if not in the words of the surrogates on stage, definitely in the actions of the campaign, show that they're starting to take this a little bit more seriously.
All right. Nicole Sganga and Bo Erickson are intrepid Campaign 2020 reporters. Thank you so much. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Thanks,